The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Faster May, good afternoon. We're on Mannin Line, open line through till 1 today. Call 66 1368. Text 166 177. WhatsApp 166 177. Email studio at maxradio.com. Tynwald's considering parking permit restrictions in Douglas. We've got that amber weather warning. Sailings may be in trouble. Tahitian, we've not heard much about the planes. And the former health minister is wondering how the doctor's pay offer is going to be funded. That and absolutely anything else that's on your mind, text, email, call and WhatsApp. And let's get to the lines first of all. David's first with us today. Hi, David.
Hi, Andy. Glad to see you back. And have you put your nomination form in? You've only got a couple of days left, you know.
Nomination for what?
Legislative Council.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not nowhere near qualified to be a member of Legco, David.
But the rumour was you were away because you were canvassing. You see, for it.
No, let me say, I can categorically say here and now, Legco is not for me.
Yeah, but why can't we find out who the other people are when you've had people who are currently members who are restanding and have had interviews? Seems strange, but anyway, I wanted to talk about homelessness.
Yeah.
And just to I was speaking to John the other day. I spoke to him over Christmas, and the government have now decided to put out a consultation exercise. That's my beef for today, to see whether homelessness exists on the Isle of Man.
It would be interesting to see and how they define it as well, because there are different types. Obviously, there are people who have nowhere to go because of circumstances. People who have got places to go but don't want to take them up. And as you say, it really shouldn't be happening on the Isle of Man.
Shouldn't, and we shouldn't have food banks either. But anyway, consultation closes on the 27th, so I've been on and said to them, can you increase that consultation period? Because we're only talking about 5 days. So if you're talking about the people that I know or whatever, like John and so forth, if I did a little script for him and put it in, it's going to take more than 5 days to get things organised and stuff like that. And hopefully produce the story, what he went through, getting to hospital, getting to Ramsey Cottage Hospital, then getting thrown out virtually, as far as I'm concerned, and then living in a car for 2 weeks. Do you remember that?
Yes, I certainly do. And as you say, there will be different types of circumstances. And there were some people who don't want anybody to interfere in their circumstances, people who just want to get on with it themselves. But some people need help. And it's a matter of making that first approach and just saying, look, I need some help with this.
And we've got Salvation Army, GRI, and the other places that provide food and stuff like that. Just to let you know, anyway, John's now in what we call house and multiple occupations in Douglas there. And it's getting on the housing list. Form's gone in. Hopefully he'll try and get something. But he said to me, just after Christmas, he said, David, the loneliest thing is the Christmas period, then into the new year. And he said, when you're living in a single room, say 10 by 10 or whatever, he said to me, what do you do all day? What happens? When it's raining, pouring, it's cold outside, where'd you go? And that's what this government should be doing, is saying homelessness does exist, and how can we stop that or prevent it?
Right, okay. Well, as you say, the survey is supposed to close. It's closing on the 27th, which is what?
It's only 5.
Yeah, 5 days. 5 days or so.
It's not long enough, really, but I've had a whinge on that, and hopefully the government department will increase it. Does it take much difference when where people who are, you talk to people and you say to them, well, can you do a little script on and say how your circumstances is? But people take time, don't they? People sometimes don't want to be notified or who they are and whatever. Only because I know the person, I've known him for donkey's years. He's 63, you know. Does he need to be living a life like that when we get him back up and into strength again, and he can be a good community member?
Well, of course, the answer is no, he doesn't need to be living a life like that. It's obviously not good for him, and long term it's going to do him no help whatsoever. So something has to happen, and of course there will be other Johns, male and female Johns around the Isle of Man that we don't know about, that don't have somebody advocating for them. As you say, it will take a lot for them to say, look, I need some help. There's something that I need, and maybe 5 days isn't long enough at all.
All right, and I'll leave you to it.
All right, good to hear from you. Thanks for that, David. And I can categorically say I'm not standing for Legco. Public Health carrying out this research on homelessness on the Isle of Man, and they want to hear from you as a member of the public on your perceptions of homelessness on the Isle of Man. Now, if you want to get to take part in it, you go to gov.im/homelessness survey. Snappy, eh? So gov.im, homelessness survey. It takes a quarter of an hour or so to complete it. One of those things you click through. Survey's closing on the 27th of January. That's what, next Tuesday or so, next Monday. The results of the survey will be compiled into a report to determine the next steps, and further research will be carried out to find out more about the nature of homelessness on the Isle of Man. And homelessness, as I mentioned, it's nuanced. It's not black and white. There are some people who do have a place to stay or live somewhere, and it's not working out for one reason or another. And of course, there is a free phone number on the Isle of Man that you can call if you're worried about being homeless or homelessness in general. You can call it any time of day or night to get help and support if you have nowhere to stay tonight. And there may be people, someone somewhere, maybe you're listening now, who needs somewhere to stay tonight and may need emergency accommodation. And the number is 650000. Now, you'll know that as the hospital switchboard number. An operator will be able to direct your call to the correct support service, regardless of where you are on the Isle of Man and what time of day you're calling. Okay. The other option, of course, is if you see someone in immediate danger or in urgent need of medical attention, 999. But the first port of call is 650000, the hospital switchboard. As I mentioned, being homeless doesn't mean sleeping rough. It can be hidden, such as sleeping on a friend's sofa, living in unsuitable, unsafe accommodation, or individuals facing eviction. So, remember, there is still a facility on Broadway as well in the daytime where you can go, the old Gry place. Right, text, email, call and WhatsApp, then by all means do get in touch. Now, the story about the doctor's strike, which was due to get underway this morning, it's been indefinitely postponed. It's not happening. The doctor's strike isn't happening. The union involved, which is the British Medical Association, the union says that at the 11th hour, doctors successfully negotiated a pay offer with Manxcare. While there are still questions over whether that offer is going to be accepted by BMA members, it's clear that the first ever doctor strike on the Isle of Man won't be happening today. It got that close. Still questions around where the money is coming from. It's all down to money. It's always down to money, isn't it? So there are questions as to where the money's coming from. And as you probably expect, the former Health and Social Care Minister, Laurie Hooper, wanted to know.
These answers don't stack up. We know Manxcare have previously been very clear publicly that they couldn't improve on the pay offer. The Minister is now saying they have improved on the pay offer. That's great news, but the money has to come from somewhere. The Minister hasn't really explained where the money is coming from, because this isn't just next year's budget, it's this year's budget as well, because it is a backdated pay offer. So somehow we've moved from a position where we're going to be £16 million overspent to now the Minister saying she's not going to come back to Tynwald and ask for more money because it can be dealt with within the existing budget. So which of these statements is accurate? Because the Minister is contradicting herself every time she opens her mouth.
Obviously the details of how this has been awarded will come out out, and I can assure honourable members that obviously there's a lot more behind what I'm saying in terms of the detail about job planning, etc., PAs. It's really important that those nuances are worked with the BMA so that a joint statement can come out. Honourable members will hopefully appreciate that I'm giving them up-to-date information. I'm really pleased that I've been able to do that today. Avoiding strike action has been really, really important for the department. Also, and I hope honourable members will agree with me, that making sure that our staff here on the Isle of Man have parity with that in the UK is essential. So aside from that, as I said, it has to come within budget. We obviously, our DHSE and Manx Care are responsible for that budget, and I will be working closely with them to ensure that.
That's Claire Christian, the minister involved. And, well, the money's been found. That's the offer. Isle of Man doctors have been given the pay offer. They have postponed the first ever doctor strike on the Isle of Man. They'll take the offer to members and vote on it. The union will present it to its members. They're recommending the offer is accepted. You got any thoughts on this? Manx Care confirmed that as well as the union, the Manx Care confirmed that the industrial action is not going ahead. Some patients and service users may already have had their appointments cancelled. Now, these may have to be, or may have already been rescheduled, or will be by the end of today. More letters. If you're affected by the cancellations, Manx Care will be in touch with you to rearrange your appointment ASAP. If you haven't heard from Manx Care to cancel your appointment, attend as normal. And if you've got any questions or concerns, contact MCALS on 642 642 or email MCALS, MCALS, all lowercase, all one word, mcals@gov.im until 8 o'clock today. If that is affecting you, by all means, do get in touch with that. Now, the question of plastic on the Isle of Man and the question of recycling, of course, has now resurfaced again with the Waste Electrical and Electronic Equipment contract changing. The founder of Beach Buddies, Bill Dale, says the cost of disposal should be added onto the retail price of a variety of goods to discourage fly tipping. Now, Bill, of course, gets volunteers out every Sunday to clean up the beaches, not just the beaches, other places as well. And they're seeing an increasing number of items such as TVs, computer screens and fridges during clean-up operations. No joke. Fridges. Now, this comes as amenity sites across the Isle of Man have introduced or increased charges for those wanting to get rid of electronic waste. This is what Bill Dale has to say.
To be honest, it's been going on for quite a while, and it's not just because of the amenity sites and their different policies. We've noticed fly tipping pretty much everywhere. It's definitely on the increase, and without doubt, the increase in prices has made a difference.
What sort of items you've noticed of late?
Well, it's a mixture. TVs, computer screens, we found a few fridges. And of course, there are other things which we know are being tipped over places like the Marine Drive, where if you have a set of binoculars and you look over somewhere like Pigeon Point, you'll see that there's quite a lot of TVs down the bottom of there. But we do have, we believe, a solution to this problem, because let's face it, when you have to dispose of these items, you do have to pay a fee. Well, the answer that we've come up with is that we charge up front for the disposal, because people have to pay for the disposal of these items when they're beyond use. So rather than wait for people and trust them to dispose of them responsibly, why not charge the fee up front, and then people get a certificate of some sort and they've paid for it up front, and then therefore you can take it to the amenity site and they just tick it off and you drop it off and away we go.
So what are you suggesting then, making that payment up front at the amenity site?
No, up front when you buy it at the retailer.
But then I guess you have to then get retailers involved, and then there's also the thing where people, if they upgrade that equipment, then they try and maybe sell it on Marketplace or they give it to someone else. You know, there's all of those things to take into.
You can pass on the certificate with the item. All it is paying the fee at a different point rather than at the very end of its life.
Bill Dale talking about how we recycle. Remember, The dynamic on the Isle of Man is very different because apart from glass, everything else that we recycle has to go off the Isle of Man, and of course it costs to go off the Isle of Man. So our recycling is different. The financial model is very, very different. But remember, it sticks out on an island, and if Bill and the beach buddies are finding electronic goods just dumped, fly-tipped, here, there and everywhere, it becomes everybody's problem. I mean, the person who couldn't care less, they just lob it out and that's it. They don't think about it. They probably don't live anywhere near. And then it's somebody else's problem, not their problem. They're those sort of people. But what do we do about it? When you drive down a country lane and you see a TV or a computer monitor or a fridge or a settee or something just thrown away, how do we do? Is this something the government hasn't thought through properly, or are we just going to have to pay more? Any thoughts? Text, email, call, WhatsApp. Wilf's with us now. Hi, Wilf.
Hi, I'm sorry I haven't been in touch, and I'm so glad you're back again because I'm afraid I couldn't do with those other people that come on, and I'm stuck in Nobles at the moment.
Oh well.
I'm ill, so there you go.
Okay, well, we wish you well. Wilf. So, what's on your mind today?
Well, my daughter fetched up the examiner from last week.
Yeah.
And it says in the paper, I think the fellow's name is Young. And it said that he was he was passing this wall on Douglas Promenade.
Yeah.
But he said, I actually hate it. And he's a planning man. I mean, what's wrong with these people?
Well, I've not heard anybody who said it's a good idea or it looks nice.
Well, exactly. And I mean, I think that I found it out, but well, I think I'm probably right. The government do not want to give anything away. The government have their fingers in the gravel works down the Point of Ayr and all over, etc., etc. So, if you want a load of gravel, skip full of gravel or whatever it is, you've got to go and buy it down the Point of Ayr, get it sorted out, all the rest of it,
right? And
the haulage of it, and all this shit, you see. And if you give something away for nothing off the beach, you've lost that. And I'm afraid that's what's at the back of it. That's Douglas, Waxy, and Ramsey. I think all on that side. You see.
So you reckon it's just to stop people getting stuff off the beach? People could get stuff off of the beach, but the government doesn't want them to.
Exactly. Now, my old man come here when he was 19 years of age, and one of his first jobs was actually digging gravel off the beach with a horse and cart for a firm called Coffey's. Now, Coffey's sons did it as well. There was other firms doing it because, you see, we weren't doing any of this hauling from the Point of Ayr. It just didn't exist then. And when we wanted sand and gravel, we went and dug it off the beach. And I mean, it's so obvious to me. I'm saying I can't understand it. I can understand it. There's money behind it. That's what it's all about.
Okay.
It's there's money being lost if you give it away. Okay. That's all I can put it down to. And instead, you spend $1 million, or it's going to be $1 million shortly, and the first good inch or gale will knock that wall over. There's no problem thing about that. It'll go, and it'll all be on the promenade. To me, it just does not make any sense whatsoever.
All right. Okay. Wilf, I hope things take a turn for the better, and thanks for being in touch with us today.
Well, I've got pneumonia, so there you go.
All right. Well, fingers crossed. We'll all be thinking of you, Wilf. Thanks for that.
Okay, thanks very much.
Good to hear from you. We wish Wilf well. Just as old people are sometimes called bed blockers. For those who live alone in a large property may also be called house blockers. Now, both problems, I think, are caused by a short-sighted government, says David H. The idea of charging disposal costs at point of sale is bonkers. Who'll hold the money? What happens if a business closes or disposal costs rise, says G. Well, I'm trying to think, but was it Curry's or another multiple that used to, if you bought something, took the old one away? Or was this just ringing some sort of bell? Maybe you can tell me, was this the way? So the solution to fly tipping, however, the law of unintended consequences could drive sales online and away from Manx retailers, says Big Trev. And 17 says, however, Big Trev, you could actually make a virtue out of necessity, in that if they were traders, physical traders on the Isle of Man who were selling electrical goods, then it's really easy. I mean, electrical retailers don't often go out of business. They normally have a good business, so let's assume that they're not going to go out of business. It will be easy to set up some sort of voucher scheme whereby you paid a voucher to a retailer, bricks and mortar retailer on the Isle of Man, when you bought something, and you gave it back to them when you wanted to get rid of it, and they took it away. And if they didn't, obviously somebody within government could enforce it. It could be part of our net zero scheme. It would also keep business on the Isle of Man, because if you were going to buy one of these enormous fridges elsewhere and you were going to be charged, what is it, 120, 130 pounds to get rid of it, that's a big saving on part of the of that. It's all down to remember, waste electrical and electronic equipment. The WE scheme it is, and it's causing hassle for people at the civic community sites as well. Tony B's with us now. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Andy. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. Yeah.
I hope you've recovered from wherever it was you had. Was it a holiday?
It was a holiday. Yes, I was away. I wasn't sunning myself, but I was away certainly.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and now you're back. You've got to not catch cold or anything and can't be off anymore, because we're missing you. And I hope that Wilf is getting better. I do hope that.
Well, yes, we should all say a silent prayer for Wilf Young, and hope, because at this time of the year, pneumonia is no joke.
No. I've got two things I want to ask. One, I'm struggling to find where on earth is the so-called Laurie Hooper special, I want to get rid of the man in the Man of the Cloth. Where's that survey?
Oh, the Bishop's vote.
Yes, because it's very, very... It was the first time it was hard to find, and the second time I can't find it at all. And I think Laurie Hooper would still be in his job if he spent more time on doing his original job instead of doing these stupid things. So that's one. And two, is our friend, I can't remember his name now, the bloke who thinks the oil gas discovery should be developed a certain way because he's taken advice from a wind farm supplier, which apparently... I think Julian the other day came on and said, because I asked, where on earth are you getting your advice from? And apparently he came back on and said he's got it from this wonderful company that does wind farms, which is really a really good place to get advice about gas developments. Yes, well, so Chris Thomas needs to either stand up and say, I'm completely wrong and I don't know what I'm talking about, and therefore take advice from somebody who might know what they're talking about, or he needs to just not keep going on about it being the right thing, do it properly, because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, and the thing is, sometimes it's a bit unspecific, and particularly if on Mannin Line, we deal in bite-sized chunks. We assume that, most people are lay people about things, and certain people are experts in other things, and it's up to the experts to explain in words of one syllable what they mean. And I can't quite understand why Chris Thomas doesn't want Crogga to drill for the gas. I can't understand why he doesn't even want a survey to take place.
Well, I'll take a step back, right. His original objection was they're not doing it right because they weren't going to do a 4D seismic survey. So that's just one up from a 3D seismic survey, which they've already got. All right? So he said, well, that's not being done properly. And his advice apparently is coming from a wind farm expert, a wind farm company, which is according to Julian, not to me. He was on the other day and said, yes, he's researched it. And the company that Chris Thomas said he's got advice from is a wind farm company. So my overall issue is this is just government dragging their feet, driven by civil servants who don't like gas and they want to go net zero, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but we shouldn't be doing it at the expense of not drilling for gas, because that gas will solve a huge amount of problems. We're short of money. That gas will provide some of the basis for that money that we can fill the coffers up again.
And we are in the middle of, we are in an interregnum, we're in an interim, we're in a transition phase. The whole world is talking about the transition to net zero and more sustainable energy. So surely we should take advantage of it being a transition and use something that we have. And I can't understand why. I don't know what they're keeping from us, or whether it's civil servants or whether it's elected members, but it would seem that the telephone numbers that Crogga are talking about will be the answer to every maiden's prayer.
Apparently, but not to our government. So my question is, it comes back once again, will Chris Thomas now stand up and say, I was wrong, I was taking advice from the wrong people, either get some proper advice from somebody who might be able to tell him the truth and how it works, or just not say anything and support Crogga drilling a gas well. Because the minute they drill it, which is all their money, by the way, it's not ours, the minute they drill it, you'll know whether you can get gas to shore. If you can get gas to shore, then that's money ticking into the bank. Now, that doesn't help you when you've got a wind farm that they won't tell us, oh yeah, we're going to rent the seabed to, who is it? The one offshore, the Isle of Man?
Orsted.
We'll rent the seabed to them, but we won't get any money from it because we won't tell you how much it is.
And that's years away.
But they're going to... Eh?
It's years away.
That's not the issue. It comes down to, once again, it might be the right thing to do, but what is the benefit to the Manx residents? Orsted haven't said there's going to be any benefit that I've heard of actual physical, this is how much we're going to cut your electricity bill by. Have they said that?
No.
No. This is how much we're going to pay you for the privilege of borrowing that land that we want to put our wind farm on. Have they said that? No. And the government won't tell us, because if they told us, we'd all be horrified. Because what it comes down to is, once again, there's a behind-the-scenes deal going on to put electric cable in, which we don't have, which won't be ours. It'll be Orsted's, and then we'll have to pay them for the electricity they bring to the Isle of Man. Which it goes round and round and round in circles. With the latest arguments you're getting from America, net zero is going to die in its tracks globally. And we are going to continue on spending a fortune on something that I'm not against. I'm not against it at all. I think it's a great idea. But I don't want to spend my life savings on it and end up at the end of the day still cold and paying an arm and a leg for something later.
And also, by the same token, we don't want to be doing something that everybody else is running away from. If we're throwing our hat into the ring with this, and as you say, the global landscape has changed. Let's face it. With the new president of the United States going for, drill, baby, drill, that's going to happen. The United States is going to be an exporter, and the cost of energy will go down. Supply and demand, it will go down. So,
well, it will certainly go down in the USA. I'm not sure about over here, because will we import that from over there? We're importing gas on LNG from the Middle East.
By the same token, also, remember, lots of people and lots of international companies are following a net zero trajectory purely because of international pressure to do so. Now, if big American companies turn round and just say, well, who cares? What about the rest of the world? It may be that big companies, international companies, multinational companies based in America may just bluntly stick two fingers up and walk the other way while the rest of the world is paying through the nose.
And that's exactly what I think will happen. I don't condone it. I don't think it's great, but I think that's exactly what will happen. And we'll be left holding the can because we'll be the ones paying continuously into the future for the children's children's children for something that is not necessarily sustainable.
Yeah.
Where are you going to get the wind from when there's no wind? If you go for nuclear, then that makes a bit more sense, but these are not cheap. And then you have to have specialist people to run them. I just don't see the logic of it all. And I'm not against net zero. I think we can do huge amounts of things in saving some of what we do wrong.
Yeah.
But there is more methane coming out of volcanoes that you can't control.
Yeah.
Not even the Green Party can control the volcano's eruption. And that will apparently go up as the ice melts.
Yeah. And
so
also, I mean, just
more and more methane plumes.
by the same token, on a small scale, but I mean, the fires in Los Angeles have emitted more carbon monoxide, and it's put back California's vehicle emissions 20 years. In 2 weeks of fires, 20 years back. So for all their electric vehicle mandates and for everything that they've done, 2 weeks of wildfires, scrap the whole lot.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see similar problems over in the European theatre where they haven't got enough gas at the minute, so they're going to end up opening up coal mines again, which is what Germany's doing. As a transition fuel, I quote. But German coal's not very good quality.
Well, no,
We're not allowed to have a coal mine in the UK because that's against net zero. But net zero is a so-called little thing that nobody really in government is willing to say how much it's going to cost.
Well, certainly things are going to be moving in the next few weeks and in the next few months, because with what's happening in America, that will have a spillover that will have an effect right across the world. And presumably it will even trickle down to the Isle of Man.
Well, yeah, but the boys in Davos will be working out how they can circumvent it.
Well, and that's the point. Remember that big business will do what big business does. And I'm entirely with you on the fact that this new industrial revolution is a terrific opportunity for clever people, for entrepreneurs, for business people to do something that will improve everyone's life, as long as everybody tells the truth, Tony.
I look forward to you finding somebody to do that in government.
I'll keep trying. All right, Tony. Thanks for calling.
You look after yourselves, and let me know where this survey is that I can tell Laurie Hooper he's wrong.
All right. Thanks for calling today. And Peter's with us now. Hi, Peter.
Oh, hello, Andy. It's Peter Marcotte here. Two questions that have arisen. I think I can answer them. First of all, the Bishop spoke. Yeah. To the best of my knowledge, it's with a three-man committee. It was there was a motion that was successful to move it to a three-man committee of the Legislative Council who would report back as soon as possible. And to my knowledge, they haven't yet reported back.
Right. And when was that reported? Was that before? It was before Christmas.
I think. Yeah. Oh, yes, it was. Yes, it was during the autumn that. I think it was during the autumn, because you lose track, really. But it was, let's say it was some time ago. That's where it is. So it hasn't disappeared.
Okay.
It's, but I take it that the committee is the same, the Legco version of a select committee, I assume. But I haven't heard any more about it. Right. So if that's the answer to Tony's question.
Okay.
Second thing, On this question of disposing of things, yes, it's obviously disgraceful to see things just dumped in the countryside. I would suggest one immediate reform that could be made, very simple one, and that is at the amenity centre they take cash. Because when I took something up there, I was told that it was, I believe it was just card only. Well, I don't use them. So how do I go about it then if I don't have a card?
They wouldn't take cash.
No. Well, they just said they didn't take cash. So I forget how what we did. I think maybe it was when we changed some electrical goods. Maybe somebody took, I can't remember now,
right.
How we managed to do it lawfully. As you know what I mean? There's no way I'm going to go and dump something somewhere.
And which site was it, Peter?
It
was at the Douglas one.
Do you know, I can't quite remember. I think it probably was. It was probably before they changed, but I do know it was quite some time ago.
Yeah.
And there was something that, you couldn't, according to the rules, put in the bin. It was a spare screen that we'd got, and I just wanted, obviously, within the rules, to get rid of it. Now, I found that very irritating that people start on that one, because cash is Her Majesty's currency, or His Majesty's currency. It's lawful currency. And it's just the same as all this assuming that everybody's online, which is what happened. You see advertisements for things for things going on, and you can get in touch online by typing someone. So that immediately excludes a lot of people who can't get in touch because they're not online. So yeah, there's the answer. If it is that they're taking cash, hooray, I'm pleased to hear it. If they're not, it's about time they started, because if they want to prevent people being tempted to dispose of goods in an unlawful way, which I personally would not do because I have high regard for the countryside, there can't be any reason, I can't think of any satisfactory reason why you can't take cash. And I'm all for places, actually, I would like to see it made illegal to insist that you've got to pay by card. I think that there should be a change in the law to make it quite clear that, at all types of businesses and so on, they are obliged to take cash, because otherwise you immediately cause problems for a considerable proportion of the population.
Okay.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thanks for calling today.
Thank you then.
Good to hear from you. 16 minutes before 1. So there we are with the Bishop's vote. And also, do the civic community sites, if not cash, I'm not being a little retro here, but do they take checks? Would they take a check if they're not allowed to handle cash? Maybe the civic community site people can get in touch and just say, does anybody take cash? Does the St John's one, Southern one, Northern one? Can you tell me? Text, email, call and WhatsApp. Somebody said it's not over £100 for a fridge. It is for a big fridge. To new charge at the Eastern Civic Amenity site. That's the old recycling site by the incinerator, by the energy from waste plant. It's £128 for a large fridge. Standard fridge £53, medium fridge £71. Probably more than the fridge probably cost. And £128 to get rid of a large fridge. £23 television. For a PC monitor, £14. A laptop, £14. And condenser, washer and dryer is £53. For a cooker, £35. For a freestanding cooker's £27, built-in cooker £27, washing machine £41. It goes on. For a treadmill, £30. An oil-filled radiator, £6. Cash is legal tender, says David H. So you should be able to use cash. It may be that obviously the people at the civic community site maybe don't want to run a cash box. But certainly, if you can't pay by card, surely you can pay by cheque. Surely.
Here at Q-Plus, we're not just blue, we're green. From smart boilers to heat pumps, Q-Plus supply products from the leading brands in renewable energy for a cleaner, greener home. So call into Q-Plus on Snugborough Trading Estate, the island's largest independent plumbing and heating merchants for trade and retail. Or call 673 131 to talk to our friendly experts about the latest cost-effective products in home heating and find out what we can do for you at Q-Plus.
Construction waste today.
Tells recycle for another day.
A builder skip or two.
Tells Skips will bring to you.
Need quality Type 1 stone for your building or contracting job? Then contact Tells with no minimum order for collection or delivery. Call 677 137. Visit Tells Limited in Snugborough or find Tells Limited on Facebook.
Skips are what they do.
We're the guys that hire one to you.
Call Tells Skips today.
677 137.
Looking to level up your career? Whether you're aiming to boost your qualifications, gain new skills, or change your career direction, University College Isle of Man is here to help. From business, beauty and barbering to agriculture, customer service and advanced IT, UCM offers a wide range of adult learning courses designed to help you succeed in today's fast-changing world. Unlock new opportunities with UCM's upskilling courses. Visit ucm.ac.im to find out more.
It's been a topsy-turvy start to the year for FC Isle of Man, but can they end January on a positive note in the NWCFL Premier Division this weekend? AFC Liverpool are the latest visitors to the Bowl, with the Ravens looking to avenge a last-gasp defeat to the Merseysiders earlier in the season. Join me, Rob Pritchard and Tony Mepham for FC Isle of Man versus AFC Liverpool, kicking off at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Manx Radio will be bringing you full live match commentary on our DAB and AM 1368 channels. Live coverage of FC Isle of Man on Manx Radio is supported by Selton, investing in our community.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Good to be back with you, 12 minutes before 1. It's Wednesday, the 22nd of January. Can you believe that already? January is racing away. I spoke to Braddon Commissioners about fly tipping a few years ago, says correspondent 280. And they said that they caught some people, but they only gave warnings. So why not make an example? Paying an additional charge up front on electrical items, I think, is never going to happen. Interestingly, thank you, 280. Has anybody ever been nicked for fly tipping then? Now, this is easy, and it was Bill Dale himself who talked about this a few years ago. We were talking about the fact that fast food items, the boxes tend to be lobbed away when some people have finished. We suffer this on Douglas Head all the time. Douglas Head's a great place to sit with a box of food, chomp away by the seaside and look at the boats and what have you. And most people take their rubbish and throw it in the bin. A few people don't, let's face it. They throw their polystyrene box out of the window. And Bill was saying that there is a scheme, I think, whereby the retailer could do this. So if you go to, let's say, a drive-through, and you would normally go through to a drive-through if you're going to drive somewhere else, that the retailer would take the number with a camera of the car, and they will put a barcode, thermal barcode, onto the box. And then when that was found as litter, the police could trace it back and you'd know who it was, hence you could be fined. I know it's a bit involved, but if you're going to stop people doing that, and if you're going to stop people making a mess, that's one way of doing it. The technology exists, let's just say that. You can see the Isle of Man government setting up a department to administer a disposal scheme, says 313. Another government department. I like the new seawall. Once it's finished, it'll look really good, says N on 111. If Bill Dale says that fly tipping has nothing to do with the government's recycling fees, then the whole premise is based on a misunderstanding of the problem. Ultimately, it is the government's responsibility to provide usable, affordable waste solutions if they want the public to participate. The fact that they choose to control the waste management and treat it as an income stream is the core issue, says 109. Actually, that Mike Rose, the guy who's in charge of the Western Civic Community site in St John's, basically the people at the civic community side often get it in the neck. Now, they don't choose to charge the fees. they can't make a loss. The Western Civic Community side is not there to lose money. Consequently, it's charged under the new waste, electrical and electronic equipment contract £490 plus VAT per tonne. Now, Mike Rose says the site could process approximately 80 tonnes of wee annually with costs of more than $50,000 a year, adding that it doesn't want to charge people. However, its own costs are very high. And just to reiterate, it's not there to lose money. Can't lose money. In response, the DOI told us it undertakes the tender process for the disposal of such waste, and the island's 4 civic community sites then choose whether to accept that or to seek their own alternative. And as usual, you and me, us, we're stuck in the middle because we're the ones with the stuff that needs recycling. We bought it 10, 20 years ago. Now, nobody talked about charging then, did they? Now, suddenly, ever feel like you've been had? Fly tipping is going to increase dramatically as people are lazy, and add the fact that they have to pay, and that will only increase this. There should be a payment given to people who bring these items to the tip, not charge them. It's a bit like pop bottles in the past. Somebody could even set up a little business with this. I'm sure there must be a better way to keep the Isle of Man tidy, says Paul. Here's Julian now. Hi, Julian.
Hi, Andy. Welcome back.
Thank you.
First one is Tony B, just quick. If anybody'd like to look at what I mentioned the other week, RPS, that's Romeo Papa Sierra Group.com, and also their parent company, Tetra Tech.com. Those are, RPS Group is the one that's giving advice to the Isle of Man about Crogga. And there's plenty of ESG, sustainability, transition. I don't know what we're going to transition to. It's definitely not hydrogen, so I'd like to know what that is. Also, just quick, just a shout out to Will. Hope you're doing well. That is dedication, Andy, ringing into the Mannin Line when you got pneumonia in hospital.
From a hospital bed, that's above and beyond, isn't it?
Absolutely amazing. So all the best, Will. Speaking of hospitals, I was reading the Daily Mail newspaper the other day. So anyone who says I'm only on the internet, no, I do read newspapers, but it can be searched for online. If anybody would like to look for Kate and Jamie Scott, Daily Mail, which is on their Mail Online site. This is 3 years ago in April. Jamie suffered a catastrophic brain bleed soon after an AstraZeneca COVID jab and was in a coma for 5 weeks. He was a fit and healthy 44-year-old, regular skier, mountain biker, runner. He can't work now, he can't drive a car, and he can't even follow complex conversations. His wife, Kate, has been giving evidence at the COVID inquiry. She said, and I quote, and it's written on the first page of this thing, "If I said Jamie had a bike accident, people would say how sorry they were. But because he's been left disabled by the COVID vaccine, they question if it's true." Jamie had suffered from vaccine-induced immune thrombocytopenia and thrombosis, which is a very odd condition, which I think hasn't been seen before, where you have too much coagulation and no coagulation at the same time. It also turns out in this article that the Vaccine Injury Compensation Scheme has paid out more money in administration of rejecting victims than it has paying out to the victims. Meanwhile, Kate has had to give up her business looking after her husband and children. And the reason I bring this story up is because the US has removed itself from the World Health Organization and its looming pandemic treaty, which could override a cooperating national government like England or the Isle of Man in regard to its health treatment, including giving jabs. So basically telling people to be jabbed on remote control, you might say. Just be nice to have, again, some clarity on what the status of the Isle of Man is in regards to the World Health Organization, and are we going to be bound to it if they start doing this pandemic treaty, which they're still talking about to this day.
All right, okay. What's the name of those companies again, Julian? RPS.
Sure, so you got Romeo Papa Sierra Group.com and TetraTech.com. So Tetra Tech is the parent company that took them over about a year and a half ago.
Right.
And if you go in, say, the oil and gas section of Tetra Tech, it's just got basically a whole page of ESG, sustainability, just transitions, all this type of thing. So perhaps a strange thing to be talking about, considering what America's doing.
All right. All right, got to go. Thanks for that, Julian. Good to hear from you. Thanks for calling today. The seawall will help send passengers onto the halfway horse tram. Come and view the sea on board, they'll say. Thank you, Will. And also, to save £60 scrapping a fridge, I take them to bits and put them in the wheelie bin. You shouldn't say that. You're not allowed to do that. The amenity sites don't take cash for obvious accountability reasons, says Juan. What obvious accountability reasons? I think when the next election comes round, there won't be many people elected who will have a green agenda in their manifesto. I hope they become an MHK. It's a wee while yet, but not that far. And that's it from Mannin Line today. Thanks to Howie on the phones. Back tomorrow, high noon.
WINT.